If your avoidant partner says these 7 phrases, walk away ASAP. There are moments in every relationship when you hear a sentence that feels like a cold wind through a warm room. It chills the connection, confuses your heart, and makes you question your worth. If you're in love with someone who leans avoidant, those moments happen more than you'd like to admit. And sometimes they're not just moments. They're red flags waving in silence, begging you to wake up. Because there are certain phrases an avoidant partner says that should never be ignored. Not because they're said in anger or passion, but because they reveal a deeper truth. This person isn't emotionally available. And no matter how much you love them, you can't force someone to meet you at the depth you're capable of. So let's dive into the 7 phrases that should make you pause or even walk away before you lose more of yourself trying to earn a connection that was never going to be mutual. Phrase 1, you're too sensitive. This one cuts deeply. It doesn't just invalidate your feelings, it teaches you to distrust them. Avoidants use this phrase when they feel overwhelmed by your emotional expression. Instead of leaning in and asking what hurt you, they flip the script. Suddenly you're not hurt, you're dramatic. You're not expressing pain, you're overreacting. And here's the danger. You start to believe them. You start walking on eggshells, suppressing your needs, and smiling through emotional starvation. If your partner repeatedly tells you that you're too sensitive, what they're really saying is, I'm not willing to meet your emotional depth. And if that's the case, walking away is an act of self-respect, not bitterness. Phrase 2, I never asked you to do that. Let's say you stayed up late to talk them through a tough night, or you planned a thoughtful date, or you've been emotionally available while they've been distant. When you finally express that you're feeling unappreciated or exhausted, they hit you with this one. I never asked you to do that. It's a cold dismissal. It denies the emotional labor you've poured in. Avoidants struggle with receiving, especially when it means being accountable for the way someone has shown up for them. But love isn't a ledger of favors. It's an exchange of presence, energy, and commitment. And when your giving is met with denial or indifference, it means the emotional contract is broken. If they can't acknowledge your efforts, they won't cherish your heart. Phrase 3, why can't you just let it go? Here's the classic shutdown move. You bring up something that hurt you, maybe they ignored your messages for days or dismissed your boundaries, and instead of taking responsibility, they say this, why can't you just let it go? The message is clear. Your feelings are inconvenient. Your healing process is dragging on. But the truth is, they're not asking you to let it go. They're asking you to let them off the hook. Avoidants are allergic to emotional accountability. They want a reset button without the repair. But you deserve a partner who says, tell me more. I want to understand, not someone who silences your pain to protect their comfort. Phrase 4, this is just how I am. This one is dangerous because it sounds honest, even humble. But it's not. It's a full stop on growth. When an avoidant partner says, this is just how I am, what they're really saying is, I have no intention of changing, evolving, or even trying to understand how my patterns affect you. That's not self-awareness. That's emotional laziness. Relationships require effort, flexibility, and the willingness to heal outdated survival strategies. This is how I am as a weaponized identity. It turns wounds into excuses, and it asks you to accept mistreatment as a permanent fixture. If you stay, you'll be loving someone who has no plans to meet you halfway. Phrase 5, I don't want to talk about it. Now there's a time and place for space. Healthy couples know when to pause, breathe, and come back to a conversation. But avoidants often use, I don't want to talk about it, as a wall, not a boundary. It becomes their go-to escape whenever intimacy gets too real. You try to talk about where the relationship is going, they freeze. You bring up how lonely you feel, they shut down. It's not just a refusal to talk, it's a refusal to connect. Over time, this phrase starves the relationship. You're left having imaginary conversations in your head while your partner walks around emotionally absent. If they always don't want to talk, then you'll always be the one holding the relationship together alone. Phrase 6, you're overthinking it. This phrase gaslights your intuition. Let's be clear, not every gut feeling is paranoia. Often your nervous system picks up on things before your mind fully understands them. When your avoidant partner says you're overthinking it, what they're really doing is brushing off your instincts. Maybe you feel distance between you. Maybe something feels off. But instead of exploring it with you, they dismiss it, making you the problem. It's a subtle way of making you doubt your clarity. And if you keep hearing this, you'll slowly start shrinking your emotional voice just to keep the peace. But peace isn't silence, and clarity isn't overthinking. If you feel something is wrong, it's worth listening to, even if they won't. Phrase 7. I'm just not ready for something serious. Now this one seems obvious, but many people stay long after this warning shot is fired. An avoidant might say this in the beginning, or months into a deep connection, and it stings. Because by the time they say it, you're already invested. You've seen glimpses of their soft side, moments of closeness, chemistry, even love. So you think, maybe with time, they'll come around. But let's stop right there. When someone says they're not ready, believe them. When they say they can't do serious, don't try to be the exception. Avoidants often fall for people who love deeply, but they can't hold that depth. So they keep you close enough to feel special, but far enough to stay safe. And if you stay, you'll feel like you're building a relationship on a moving floor, never steady, never certain. So what do you do if you've heard these phrases? First, don't shame yourself. You stayed because you cared. You believed in potential. You loved with hope. That's not weakness. It's human. But there comes a time when you have to choose yourself, not in a loud, dramatic exit, but in the quiet decision to stop fighting for someone who refuses to meet you. You don't need to be less sensitive. You don't need to beg for conversations. You don't need to apologize for having needs. You just need to walk, even if it's with tears in your eyes and love still in your heart. Because real connection isn't built on guessing games. It's built on presence, effort, and emotional safety. And if that person can't give it to you, no matter how charming, how funny, or how broken they are, you owe it to yourself to stop shrinking for love. Don't let their avoidance teach you to abandon yourself. If they say these 7 phrases, they've already shown you the relationship's emotional ceiling. Don't lower your standards to fit under it. If any of these phrases sounded familiar, it might be time to stop hoping they'll change and start choosing your own peace. You deserve a love that doesn't make you beg for clarity or question your worth. If this video helped you see things more clearly, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this reminder. Until next time, protect your heart, trust your gut, and never settle for half love.